go through a training from the Conflicts of Interest Board. We had done this training about 2 years ago, and we need to do a refresher periodically. So that training will be happening from 12 onward. So you should have received a separate calendar invite for that. So we are going to go through this meeting and our updates and discussion within about an hour for everyone's awareness. And again, if you'd like to comment, the comment period is abbreviated for today's meeting as well. So please sign up by 11:30 if you'd like to, by either dropping your name in the chat or texting. It's the option. So I'm going to turn to attendance. And if you could just please stay here, if you are here, that would be helpful. Chuck Apelian, I'm not sure if he's here. Oh, perfect. Okay, Morad Awaude.
Here.
Okay, Eve Barron.
Here.
Holly Bonner. Right, Amy Breedlove. Mark Diller.
I'm here.
Donna Gill. I know I saw her before. Donna, are you on mute? She's still on, or? Okay.
She's still on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony Harmon. Jose Hernandez. Jose.
He's having technical
You hear me?
difficulties.
Yes,
Here we go.
I'm here.
Thank you so much, Jose. Thank you. Michael Nussbaum. Lillian Perez.
Here.
Wait, Michael's here, or?
Lillian is here.
Oh, Lillian's here. Okay, perfect. Aneta Sitaran.
Here.
Anastasia Samosa.
I'm here.
Hi. Okay. Good morning, everyone. And for the record, my name is Sarah Said, and
I'm here, Sarah.
Oh, perfect.
I'm
Hi,
back.
Donna. Okay. I am one of the 15 commissioners who make up the Civic Engagement Commission, and also the chair and executive director. And as I mentioned, we'll be having a training in the second half of this slotted time. And we're going to begin by reviewing and approving the September 28 meeting minutes. Does everyone have the minutes from September? Should have received it in an email.
I move to approve.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in
Aye.
Aye.
anyone?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Say nay. Okay, the minutes are hereby approved. We are going to give you some quick updates on what we're up to this month as part of this meeting. So, Francis, thank you for sharing the slides. We're going to, as you know, we're in the election period now, so we'll tell you a little bit about the poll site operations that will be happening starting this weekend. Do you want to go to the next slide? Great. So I think everyone recalled we have scaled up our operations slightly for this election. These are the days that we will be out in providing services. We have Friday, October 29th. That's for Yiddish only, because most of our services, or all other services, are provided on the last weekend of early voting, Saturday and Sunday this coming weekend from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, and then 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then on election day, voting hours are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And we will be providing, you can go to the next slide. We will be servicing all the languages, the 11 languages, and we have 50 service sites for early voting across the city. This table breaks down how many sites we are providing services in by language. And this is not the total number of sites, it's rather the total number of sites where we'll be serving the language. Some of the sites have more than one language. So this, as you recall, is determined, the number of sites is determined by the proportionality analysis and approach that we use. And then for election day, we have 75 service sites. Again, this number is a breakdown by language of the number of sites we will be providing services in. Most of these sites, unlike the early voting sites, are unique sites. Typically for election day, we have one language per site. Francis, are there any exceptions to that?
There are a few exceptions, and
Okay.
folks can find a list of all of our poll site locations at the voting center.
Great. So that's on the next slide, right?
Right.
Okay, great. So to share this information or to know about it yourself, you can go to the voting center at participate.nyc.gov, which does list, Amy is here. Hi, Amy. Okay, so you can find the list, the poll site location list. You can also share the in-language PSAs that we have about knowing your rights, early voting, and those are the two PSAs for the cycle? Or is there another?
That's right. We have an early voting PSA that provides information about our service sites, and we have a Know Your Rights PSA that talks about interpretation service to voters.
That's right. Okay. So these resources are available for you to share widely. I also want to acknowledge that we just did an event yesterday in partnership with the New York Immigration Coalition and Chaya. So thank you to Murad and Aneta for your partnership on that event. We are looking for ways to connect with community leaders to have them understand that these resources are available and that they understand the poll site operations. So thank you so much again for helping us with that event. It was, we look forward to sort of expanding on that going forward and doing it for each election, working in partnership with you. Thank you. Any questions on the poll site program? Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. We are thrilled and excited to introduce you to our new advisor on poll site language services and voter participation, Julie Kim. And I wanted to just note that we've slightly tweaked this, the title. It is more expansive in the sense that we're, CEC as a practical matter. When we're at each election, we're not just thinking about the poll site language services, but also just how do we get voters engaged and involved? And that's been something we've been doing consistently throughout. So formalizing that in the title just, I think, helps us understand better what we're doing with this work. So Julie, do you want to say hello and say a few words about yourself so the commissioners meet you?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Dr. Saeed. I am joining from Test and Trace. I have also worked on the census, so I'm really excited to kind of bring that information and background to the work. And I have also been at the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. I'm really excited to join the team and work with all of you. Looking forward to working together on this. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Julie. Alrighty. So, and by the way, the other person we ought to introduce, that you know her already, is actually Frances. We had received a new line for the poll site services, which is language access manager. So Frances is assuming that role as well. So now this poll site program has 2 staff lines supporting it. Yes, and Frances is responsible for the language access planning, as you know, as well. Okay, so the next couple of slides are related to the Tree Coalition's work stream that we shared with you last time. We can move to the next one. To remind you, these neighborhoods have been selected by the Department of Health and the Task Force for Racial Inclusion and Equity. These neighborhoods are listed online, and you can also get to know the organizations that are running the coalition building work on the ground. And then next slide, we also told you last time that we are running a participatory budgeting process in these neighborhoods. It's not the same as citywide participatory budgeting. However, we are running an equity and recovery focused participatory budgeting process where we did begin with just having the neighborhoods identify their stakeholders and resources in the neighborhood. And then we did a very quick survey with the networks about some of the things they're seeing on the ground. And then that was translated into a neighborhood survey that was completed by residents. There's a proposal development phase and a vetting the proposals and ballot phase, and then voting. And then after, there'll be project implementation phase. And I think what this is allowing us to do, and you can go to the next slide, Francis. This is, as you remember, an expense-focused process. And it's so far what has happened, the community needs survey, as I mentioned, is not the same as voting on the projects themselves. Throughout this process, we've been able to create like participatory aspects of each phase of the process, which is really great. What this most recently completed process did is identify neighborhood priorities based on this single question that was completed by nearly 7,000 people over a 4-week period in these neighborhoods. Most of it was online. However, we did also provide paper ballots for people who were doing face-to-face events. And they also translated the organizations had requested translations in a couple of other languages. So we did provide those as well. And what emerged from the data so far is that there are 5 priorities that people were interested in working in, or the neighborhoods sort of identified collectively in terms of resident polling. Mental health was selected by 10 of the neighborhoods, sorry. Youth programs were selected by 8 neighborhoods, reducing gun violence was selected by 6, hunger by 2, and increasing access to housing by 1. Go to the next slide. And what will be happening this month, or has already begun happening actually, is that each organization that is leading a coalition is responsible to develop proposals, 3 proposals related to their neighborhood priority. The Tree Neighborhood Coordinators, the TNCs, will be collaborating with residents and their coalition members to develop proposals that directly address these needs. And what we will do then is they'll submit the proposals to CEC. We'll vet these proposals for feasibility, just to make sure that they're all proposals that are rightly scaled for the short window that they have to implement, because they're expense projects, and they will be placed on the ballot. We will also be working with city agencies who work in these areas to bring them, into the process of certainly, definitely of awareness, also voting, like sharing with them that these organizations are going to be working to develop proposals and letting them know what these proposals look like. So we will be doing that. And then once the proposals are vetted, they'll be placed on a ballot. And the ballots will also be translated. We'll be having extensive outreach, and we encourage you all to help with that outreach as well. Residents will be voting on projects early December to January, and as noted already, they must be implemented by June 2022. Sorry. So is that the last? Yeah. So that actually, let's go back to this. I just want to see if anyone has any questions about the participatory budgeting process. Okay, I mean, I would love for you all to think about, and you can email this to us and we can also be in touch about it, but think about who in your network, you know, is in these neighborhoods and how you could help us promote participation in the tree neighborhoods. And we would love to stay in touch with you about that. Yeah, Amy.
Yeah, I just, you know, we're going through a city council changeover once we have the election. So I was wondering if we are engaging the I guess, sorry, I'm stumbling, but those who are going to be elected, some of those races are already determined before the vote.
That's a really great question. We're definitely going to be letting the new electeds know. We're thinking of having like a briefing for the new electeds and their staff members who are responsible for these neighborhoods, to let them know that we're doing this. I mean, interestingly and concurrently, there are 2 council districts that are running their own PB process, which, you know, we'll have to kind of explore with them how we are coordinating, you know, on our process with theirs. But certainly the hope, definitely we want to let council members know. And I think really ultimately the hope is that the council process will be revived and continue, you know, in the near future. So letting people know this is happening, I think will be an important step towards that. Okay, and then I wanted to also share on the next slide that in addition to the participatory budgeting process and the ongoing vaccine education that the coalitions are doing, we just added, the Department of Health added a youth mental health component to the program and also supporting funding for each neighborhood, where we are going to be working with each coalition to focus on youth mental health. And there are specific deliverables that each neighborhood and coalition lead is going to be responsible for. More specifically, we're looking to train 50 youth, and I am blanking on the age for that, so we'll add that to the slides as we send it out, the age range. 50 youth per neighborhood to receive training in youth mental health. And I'm pretty sure that it starts like in middle school. I'm going to say 11 or 13 up to 24, I believe. And then 4 youth per neighborhood to conduct community engagement on mental health. Both of those are, there is an incentive involved for the youth to go through the training, and there will be stipend for each neighborhood for 4 youth associated with this project. And then each organization will receive funding for staff to be trained and also to like coordinate the youth engagement piece. So we're really excited about that. You know, it makes it more concrete to give resources to the organizations to support this need, which we have heard is very pressing across a lot of communities. So are there any questions about that piece?
Sarah, I have a question. I'm curious
Yeah.
to know what's the plan for reaching out to organizations that might be able to host this program.
For the youth mental health piece?
Yeah.
Well, what the neighborhood lead organizations will be doing is coordinating with their coalition members and their neighborhoods to get young people involved. So if you are in a neighborhood that is covered, or specifically a zip code that is covered by the tree neighborhood neighborhood zip codes, which you can find on that, that website that was linked in this deck earlier. So each organization is sort of point for their neighborhood to coordinate with their neighborhood organization. So if anyone here wants to get involved in this, like if you want your organization involved in this, the best route to that is to connect with the organization that is your neighborhood lead, and let them know you want young people in your network to participate, so that when the training announcement comes around and the flyer comes around, you will get it and you'll be able to plug young people into this opportunity, and then also staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Not sure if Harold joined the call yet. We actually should tell, this is not on the deck, as we're waiting for Harold Miller from the Racial Justice Commission. Francis, you can go to the next slide. I wanted to note that we are having another event this week that is in partnership with Democracy NYC. It's a Get Out the Vote event taking place in the Bronx. And I'm wondering if either Leslie, if you're on the call, or Leslie, are you on the call?
I am.
Oh,
Yes.
do you want to just tell the commissioners, please, about the event on Thursday?
Sure. So it's Thursday the 28th from 3 p.m. to 6. It'll be held at Roberto Clemente Plaza, and the partners are Democracy NYC, Pergonis, and Hispanic Federation. There are a number of artists that will be there. The People's Bus will also be featured there. And of course, the focus is on Get Out the Vote, encouraging residents to make a plan to get to the polls for the 2nd.
Thanks so much, Leslie. And Yasmani, are you on the call?
I don't believe Yasmani's on this morning.
Another question, Sarah.
Yeah.
It's Lillian from the
Hi,
Bronx.
William.
Hi. This is the first time I hear about this. How is the word getting out about this rally?
Oh, the event, on the 28th. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
are you engaging? How are you turning out for how are you communicating this event to the community?
Yeah, there are flyers that all of the partners are distributing. They've started also on social media. There'll also be an advisory to go out today, and press release day of. So there are also a number of electeds who are also invited. There's been Democracy NYC and IGA are kind of point on that, but as that's confirmed, that will be in the advisory as well. And we'll make sure, Lillian, to send you those materials as well. We'll actually get them out to all of the commissioners following this meeting.
Great.
would be
Don't
great.
forget the community board.
Yes, they have
Are doing
they
a
have
lot.
received it. Yeah, we sent out our joint newsletter went out last week, and an announcement for that event and flyer was in there. So that went out to our broader list of like over 10,000, and also all of the community boards, our faith outreach list. So we sent it to all of our databases. But
Are
absolutely make sure you get that after the
Thank
meeting.
you.
are all the commissioners on the list that we have, that we sent that newsletter to? If not, like
I don't
let's
think
just
so. I don't recall seeing it.
okay, let's just
Sarah,
check.
Sorry, are you referring to the Democracy NYC?
CEC newsletter, yes.
Okay, so that came out on Friday.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, I got that. It was a nice rundown.
So if just check your emails, just check your spam as well, because maybe it might be going to your spam. And I think on our side, we can check and make sure that all the commissioners are on that newsletter, because it does go out periodically, and it's a list that we maintain in partnership with Democracy NYC and PEU for civic engagement. It's a list that also combines a lot of the volunteers and people who got involved with the census. And I'm not sure of the exact size of the list, but it's definitely over, I believe it's around 8,000 people. We just want to make sure that you're on it for sure. And then I think we also have other events that are coming up that we can also send you, because there will be an event with the People's Bus. I think many of you have not actually seen the bus in person. So we encourage you, if you're able to get to see the bus in person, and we can send you some of those events that are coming up. One will be as the 28th. There's another weekend event in celebration of Day of the Dead. And then
It's on the 29th, Dr. Said.
okay, on the 29th, and on Friday, sorry. And then there are 2 events in November. So we will send you those, and it would be fantastic to have people come in person. The event on the 29th is in Queens. And then there's the other events we're still under discussion, but we can send you the information. So I'm seeing that Harold is now joined us. So I want to introduce everyone to Harold Miller, who's the Deputy Executive Director of the Racial Justice Commission, also a former colleague of mine from the Community Affairs Unit at the Mayor's Office. He was Deputy Commissioner there as well. Harold, I'm so glad you're here with us. Do you have a deck, Harold, or will you just be talking without a deck?
I have a deck if people want to look at one.
Oh,
Hi,
perfect.
everyone.
So,
Yeah, I see a lot of friends on here, so it's good to see everyone. It's good to see you, Sarah. And,
so
you
Francis
know,
needs to give you sharing permission, I think.
yes, I got it.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so I'll
So the
I'll
floor is
pull up.
yours.
I'll pull it up, and
Oh, as you're doing that, Francis, did anyone sign up for comment so far?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
okay.
So great.
All right. So, just good to be with the commission, to talk about the Racial Justice Commission. And I just want to give you some background on it. I know many of you on this call actually know a bit about it, but I don't want to make any assumptions of who knows what. So I'm going to give a quick history, and then talk about kind of our engagement process, and then the interim report, and then where we're going from here. And then if you have questions, you could throw it in the chat, or you could wait to the end. So the commission was formed back in March of this year. The mayor announced the formation of Racial Justice Commission, empowered as a charter revision commission, and appointed 11 commissioners, including Jennifer Joan Austin and Henry Garrido. Some of the other members include Kay Bain, Anna Bermudez, Reverend Fred Davey, Lori Daniel Favors, Derek Hamilton, Chris Q, Yasinia Mata, Deputy Mayor Phil Thompson, and Joanne Yu. They start and the charter, for those, I'm sure everyone on this call knows, but just for the record, the charter is our city's constitution. It sets out our structures, powers, and responsibilities for city government, and it creates political offices and agencies. It tells agencies what powers they have, tell them what their duties are, and the process they go about executing those duties, and how they must consult with New Yorkers, including public participation, such as voting. And the charter revision process conducts a comprehensive review of the charter, reports on findings, recommends proposals to amend the charter, and then drafting proposals for voters to consider. And so the legislation, the ballot proposals, the ballot proposals that we're going to put forth will go on a ballot for November of 2022. And the commission may also invite New Yorkers and experts to share their experiences and ideas. For those who may not know, our mission is to empower with the legal authority of a charter revision commission will seize the transformative potential of this moment in history to identify and propose structural changes and significant policy reforms that will advance racial justice and equity and begin to dismantle structural racism for all New Yorkers. This work is necessary because systemic racism has and continues to shape our reality. Our vision for racial equity is the following: the worth, talents, and contributions for all people in society are valued and recognized. Race is not a determinant of economic, political, social, physiological outcomes, as it neither confers privilege nor denies opportunities. Systemic racism, and our definition that we're using is the embedded in structural, institutional, and cultural norms and conditions designed to upheld to deny power, access, and opportunity to Black, Indigenous, and people of color in order to maintain an inequitable society that is structured to advantage whiteness. Our framework, we're looking at structural, institutional, cultural. So structural, talking about the foundational laws and values that set up power, access, and opportunity. Institutional is the policy and cultural, institutional, cultural policy practices and decision-making embedded in the day-to-day workings of the agencies. The instruments of racism, as we all know, is power, access, and opportunity. Power, the ability to make and influence decisions that impact people's lives and to define which decisions are prioritized. Access, the ability to procure and benefit from services, resources, and capital. And opportunity, the ability to take meaningful advantage of power and access to achieve prosperity. Our mission, support, and methodology is creating a capacity, a readiness to engage, participate, and take advantage of opportunity, access, and power, and then ensuring accountability, systemic and institutional mechanisms of accountability that ensures changes are made effectively and meaningfully and affect consequences if they are not. So our timeline that we've been working on is that the commission began meeting in April. We had agency engagement that started in June. I came in at the end of July to launch our public engagement process. A few weeks ago, we released our interim report, which I'll get to in a second. And now we are continuing our public engagement process. Our next public input session will be on November 8th at the Berkeley Museum, as an example, but also been going to community boards, civic associations, and other community groups over the last several weeks. And so, it's been a lot easier going from the Bronx to Queens via Zoom than in person. So I've been able to cover a lot more ground this time around. And in December, we're going to release the final report, and we're going to submit ballot questions for voters to vote on in November 2022. So our public engagement process, I'm not going to go through all the different issue area panels, but we held a whole series of them that you can find on YouTube, youtube.com/NYC Racial Justice Commission. And we spoke with key thought leaders and practitioners from various disciplines around the city to share recommendations and barriers, facing the areas of expertise that they're in. So we talked to healthcare experts, education, folks who are working on housing, folks working on, economic issues, early childhood, civic engagement, legal, and then we had a conversation about intersectionality as well. And some of you who are on the commission actually participated in some of those, so we just thank you. Thank you for your insight and for your expertise that you lent to us to share. And then we had a series of public input sessions, which some of you also participated in. We held about 9 of those, 6 in person, 3 virtual, including a youth one back on the September 10th. And then some of the themes from the public engagement, too many for me to go to each and every one of them, but just to highlight, budget justice, civic participation, measurement of disparate impact and remedy disparities in race neutral decision making, equity and economic opportunity, recognizing of identities, and provision for low-income housing are just some of what was covered during the public engagement process. And you can also watch any of those public engagement input sessions on the YouTube channel as well. So the interim staff report compiles on what we heard from the public to date, outlines 6 patterns of inequities identified during the first phase of the public engagement process, and what to expect from the commission in the coming months. And so I encourage folks to go on our website, nyc.gov/racial justice, to pull up the report, take a read at it. It's about 20 plus pages, but the meat of it is the 6 patterns of inequity, and I'll give you some highlights of what they are. But I encourage folks to take a closer look when you have the opportunity. The patterns are the following: the inequity in quality services that promote social and emotional well-being, inequity in work, advancement, and wealth building, inequity within and across neighborhoods that inhibits thriving individuals, families, and communities, marginalization and overcriminalization of BIPOC persons and communities, inequity in representation and decision-making, and enforcement and accountability of government entities. And some of the questions that we're asking the public to consider is: how has this pattern of inequity impacted you and your community? Who needs to be involved to address this pattern of inequity? This could include city agencies, elected officials, city staff. And what is your vision for New York City, where this pattern of inequity no longer exists? Now, what does the city look like? How should the players you identify act differently? So we already talked about the steps, and then including the steps, then mention that, we know that we're not going to solve racism in one charter commission. And so the work of this commission, we're definitely going to put together ballot proposals along with our final report. But within that final report, we're also going to want to lay out a roadmap of work ahead that will live beyond this commission. Ideas for the city can continue to work through that we may not be able to achieve in the charter revision commission. The state and federal governments, because there are ideas that we have received, but it requires state and federal legislation in order for us to achieve it. And so we're going to lay that as well. And want to make sure that this work that we are doing continues the movement that we inherited generations ago to achieve racial equity in the city. To stay in touch and to get involved, our website has been updated and very dynamic. It has a lot of content on there for you to go through and share. So I encourage folks to who may not have been on the website recently or not at all to go on nyc.gov/racial justice. We'll find a report there. We have questions of the week. ways for people to give public input as a way to stay engaged. If you have any questions, you can always email us at racialjustice@charter. I'll put my personal email as well in the chat. And you can always follow us on social media, Racial Justice NY on Twitter, or at Racial Justice NYC on Instagram and Facebook. So I'll put the patterns up unless you want me to go off screen so people can kind of see it. If you have folks have questions, I'll be more than happy to take some.
This is Jose. Nice to see you again, Harold.
Yeah, same here, Jose. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just want to comment, how I feel about it. I think representation within the commission, the Racial Justice Commission for people with disabilities, should be there. It changes the conversation. With these inequities, you add a disability and it compounds that issue, those inequities. So just reiterating what I said at a previous meeting, that people with disabilities and those with color with disabilities should be represented at the commission.
Yeah, no, and at the time, I said 100% agree with you. And if there's a way to us to figure that out, definitely will advocate for it. But definitely in the meantime, want to make sure that the voice of the disability community is being heard and being engaged in a real way. And so any additional ideas to that, please share with me. We have had, conversations on intersectionality, because as you clearly articulate, like, patterns and inequity is compounded when you do have a disability. Job opportunities, wealth building, criminalization even, and definitely representation, decision making. So I definitely want to work with you to figure that out.
You have my email, right?
I do. So yeah, we can talk offline and set something up.
If you have any events or public speaking events or things that I can join, just to listen and add up, disabled point of view, you can always email me, and if it's within my time frame, I'll try to make it.
Appreciate that. And what I'm thinking as well is that maybe we have something with your organization for the commissioners to come in and hear directly from you and your members on when they're considering these ballot proposals. Keep front in mind individuals with disabilities in their consideration. So I'd like to do something like that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hello, Mr. Miller. Hi, Harold. How are you? It's Donna Gill. This is wonderful, and I see that these great things are happening, but I'm still hearing in my community, which I live in Central Harlem, that they don't know what this commission is, what it's doing. We had the survey that went out, but I feel like there's not enough outreach or not enough information being given to, I could say my community, but I think it's to all community, because people are still asking questions. And I feel like this commission has been around long enough. You've been doing really great things, but I feel that communities are missing out because they're not able to get the information, and they don't know what's going on. So I think a little bit more outreach or to a wider base would be helpful. I was at the community board when they gave the presentation, but it's still not enough information. The general public doesn't really know. If you're not in one of these spaces, you don't know what's going on and what this commission is about. So that's just a thought that I had.
Yeah, I am. If there are specific uh, spaces that I should work through, please advise me. I'm open to meeting with anybody anywhere, particularly with the technology we have. I can go from Harlem to Staten Island within minutes on Zoom, so or WebEx. So please let me know. And I've been doing in-person meetings as well. It doesn't have to be exclusively virtual, but I am committed to and gotten my colleagues here committed to doing as much engagement work as possible. It's been difficult because we kind of been battling other priorities that's been going on in the city, such as a mayor's race, a new governor, uh, climate disaster that we're in the middle of, and so we definitely want to be more out and more present, but it's hard to get the media coverage that it may need or deserve. And so kind of been going grassroots, and that takes a long time. And so, I just want to make sure I don't, you know, uh, miss any particular pockets of communities around the city. So that's why I like to speak to, fellow experts that's on this call to make sure that, if there's a gap that we can go and fill it. But
Well, one thing I could think of is like public service announcements, just because those are just general, and everyone more or less has that, or some kind of media or advertising on buses and things like that, or those kiosks where people would see it and they don't necessarily have to have the to be part of an organization or to have um these to be in these spaces where we're
yeah,
speaking, because I could say go to the community board, but not everyone that comes there uh is going, or not everybody's going to come there, or
yeah,
to have an agency give us the information but not, so we're missing pockets. And I'm thinking like a global, well, a citywide public service announcement or something like that may be helpful in just getting the news out to everyone.
yeah. As much as we want to do it, we have budget constraints. We don't have a ad budget large enough to really make a significant play in the media market. We are on the kiosks, the link kiosks. We do have some web presence. We did do some ad buys on radio. Uh, but given the resources that we were given, um, we had to be very strategic on how we did our you know paid media. Um, in this New York market, you need about a few $1 million just to make a significant dent in it, and that we don't have, unfortunately.
May I chime in?
Go for it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to follow that comment. I do believe though that using the ethnic media is probably more accessible and far more affordable, and probably the best way to reach some of the hardest to reach communities. So I would encourage you to explore that.
Harold,
Absolutely.
have you all done a community and ethnic media roundtable?
I don't believe so, at least not
Oh,
during the time I've been here. And so that
okay.
actually would be a great idea.
Yeah.
We had invited, you know, uh, dozens, and dozens did participate in our media briefing when the report came out. So a lot of the ethnic media around the city did come out, but to have one specifically for ethnic media. We haven't done one specifically for that constituency yet. So I think that's a good idea that we explore that. Um, because we did kind of an all call, but we did have a lot of participation from ethnic media.
Okay, there are just a couple, like 3 minutes left on this, and I wondered if anyone else has any questions for Harold.
If I could just make a quick pitch that a great place to share this message would be with our community education councils, since education is such a key part of all of this, and it's free. I don't know if there's a way in which there's a shortened version of this wonderful presentation that you could that they could then retweet or republish to their listservs, but an important audience, and like I said, free.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I did do some outreach to CECs around the city. It's been a little while ago. This is during right before the report came out, so I think it is worth us circling back with them, and creating. We do have various toolkits where we can have one pagers and shorten presentations for people to share, and that's something, yeah, definitely will consider doing. Thank you.
So, thank you so much for those suggestions, Harold. We're our Civic Engagement Commission, so it's one of the questions the commissioners ask us a lot is how are we helping to share the information out that we're of anything really. It's everyone gets asked that. So I'm glad to have those ideas from you all as well. So just as a reminder again, we have like a minute left in the meeting. We are going to be convening in 10 minutes for the conflicts of interest training, and we did send you, the commissioners, another link for that, so you can have that, and you have just a little window to take a quick break in between the two sessions. So since we're kind of at the end of the time here, would someone like to wait, when is our next meeting?
It's November 23rd.
Sorry?
November 23rd.
Oh, 23rd. Okay, so right before Thanksgiving. Okay, so we will see you all then. Could someone please make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, motion to adjourn has been seconded. Is there a discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, with thanks.
Any opposed? Okay, this motion passes, and I call this meeting to adjourn. Want to thank everybody. Thank you, Harold, for being here with us. And we will see you all in a few minutes in the training. Take care, everyone. Or see the commissioners, rather. Take care, everyone else. Bye.